Chapter 3. Charlie. I can tell when I walk into the gym that something is wrong. The atmosphere has changed. There's a stiffness in the air that isn't usually there. "What's going on?" I ask Beth, who's working behind the counter today. She shares the duty with a few other people, but Beth is definitely my favorite. She likes to have fun and always has a joke for me when I come in. Well, every day except today, it seems. She glances around as if expecting someone to yell at her or jump out from around the corner. "They hired someone." "Wait, what? For the manager position?" She presses her lips together and nods. I can't believe it. I know a company isn't required to tell you that you didn't get the job, but I expected Pinnacle to, since I already work for them. The least they could have done was come here in person and introduce the new manager to us. Disappointment and bitterness swirl in my stomach, but I push them down. I may not agree with their choice, but I'll be the bigger person. Who did they pick? Was it Randy? He's been here almost as long as I have, and he's good with the customers. He was definitely my biggest competition. Beth shakes her head. No? Gabe, then? That would shock me. Gabe was a manager before joining us, so that part I could understand. But he's only been here 6 months. She shakes her head again. They went with someone outside the gym. What? I feel like a broken record, but I can't believe it. I've given years to this company, as have many others. And none of us were seen as qualified enough? His name is Zane Adams, and he's... She pauses and bites on her bottom lip. Intense. Intense? That's not usually the word you want describing your boss. But the company clearly saw something in him, so he can't be that bad. Okay, what else? I'm hoping that she'll give me a little of the tea. Beth usually has her finger on everything that's going on around here, so she's a good source of information. But today, she just shakes her head. Evidently, he works for Pinnacle's corporate office. He's definitely not Sheila, she says softly. But I think you need to meet him for yourself. Then she presses her lips together so tightly that they flatten into a tight line. And I know she isn't going to say any more. All right, I'll find out what this new guy is like myself then. He can't be nearly as bad as Beth is making him out to be. After all, we work at a gym. People are supposed to have fun, push themselves, and then relax a little. I head toward the employee area to drop my stuff. But I'm stopped along the way. Sheila's old office is just before the employee area, and there are boxes cluttering the desk that weren't there before. This must be the new guy's stuff. I'm about to enter and introduce myself when I see a man pop up from behind the boxes on the desk. He's wearing a dark shirt that stretches across his wide shoulders, but I can still see the muscles underneath. And he is handsome. Like chiseled features leading man handsome. But there's a scowl etched into his face. Clearly, this does not look like the best time to introduce myself, so I continue to the employee area. As I push open the door, though, I pause. Something about him tickles the back of my mind, but I can't figure out what it is. After dropping my bag into my locker, I grab my schedule for the day. It's a pretty light day today. I have Penelope in half an hour. She's been a client for 6 months now and is finally getting the results I was hoping for. When she came in, she was obese, but also full of excuses. She couldn't walk a mile. She couldn't lift more than 5 pounds. She couldn't work out longer than 10 minutes. It took me almost 3 weeks to get her to believe in herself. But once she trusted me, she began making great strides. The weight started falling off her, and though she has another few pounds she wants to lose. She's almost to her goal, and then she probably won't need my help anymore. The thought makes me a little sad. I love helping people and seeing them become better versions of themselves, but I hate it when they no longer need me. I get to know these clients on a personal level, and then one day they're just gone. I try to think of them like little birds that finally learn to fly and leave the nest, but it is hard. After Penelope is Kenneth. He's a much harder case. No matter what I tell him, he likes to argue with me. In fact, he'll go home after a workout, Google things about the exercises, and then bring them in for the next appointment to show me what we should have done differently, or why he can't do what I'm asking again. I'm actually not sure why he's still coming, except that I think his wife made him. She comes sometimes to work out and clearly takes care of herself. It's got to be frustrating for her to try and help him and be met with such resistance. I know it is when I try to cook for my roommates, and all they do is complain about the food. Still, he's definitely one of my harder cases. After him, there's a new client, a class I teach, and then lunch. Busy morning, but not terrible. Clipboard in hand, I head out to meet Penelope, but before I make it through the door, the new manager enters. Ugh, he's even better looking up close, and my throat dries up. He glances at me, and his expression pulls into a frown, though I'm not sure why. I swallow to try and get my throat working again, and then stick out my hand. Hi, I'm Charlie. I plaster on a smile. I guess you're the new manager? The niggling returns to my brain, and I study his face closely. I've seen him somewhere before, but I can't place where. You work here? Yeah? My hand slowly falls to my side. Have for years. Okay. Your turn. My turn for what? His frown deepens, and he folds his arms across his chest. I asked if you're the new manager. I stumble over the words because this was not how I hoped this scenario would go. I'd hoped to make a good first impression, but this man seems to dislike me even though we've just met, and I have no idea why. He looks at me as if I've said the stupidest thing imaginable. Who else would I be? Well, you could be a new client, though it seems you already know how to work out. So I'm not sure why you'd need our help. My eyes fall to his very muscular chest, and I wonder if he's hiding a six-pack under his shirt as well. I shake my head to clear the thought and lift my gaze back to where it belongs. His face. Definitely not a client. He leans back and looks me over. I'm going to guess from your reaction that you don't remember me. Remember him? How could I remember him when we've just met? And then it hits me, and my mouth falls open. It can't be. It was bad enough that they hired outside our community, but did they have to hire this guy, the jerk from the restaurant? Though I know I've made a terrible first impression, I don't apologize. Instead, I double down. I do now, and I have to wonder what corporate was thinking. He glares at me and narrows his eyes. I see your rudeness had little to do with your food, but I'm not surprised. Corporate hired me because I have a background in both fitness and finances. They believe I can elevate this gym, so that is what I'm going to do. The voice in the back of my head is telling me to let it go, that this is not a fight I should pick. But I can't. It probably comes from years of playing sports as a girl and being told that I'd never be as good as the boys. Something I never accepted. I fold my arms across my chest, matching his posture. This gym is already elevated, thank you very much. We have great trainers and an amazing clientele. I check my watch to make sure I'm not late. Speaking of which, I have a client I need to meet with, so if you'll excuse me, I don't want to be late. Staff meeting at 5 p.m. today, he calls out from behind me as I exit the room. Staff meeting? Are we back in school or something? Suddenly, I understand Beth's face, but I refuse to let this guy get under my skin. He might be the manager, but he also needs to learn that we know what works here, and he's going to have to get on board with us if he wants this to work. Penelope is waiting for me at the front counter when I reach it. At her smile, I feel the weight of the meeting with the new boss roll away. I can't believe how good she looks, how confident and happy she is. Hey, you ready to sweat today? Absolutely. I've got a wedding to get in shape for. She holds out her hand to show off the ring, and though I'm not a squealer, I find myself making the annoying noise before pulling her in for a hug. She hadn't dated much before due to a lack of confidence, but once she started believing in herself, men started coming out of the woodwork to date her. For a while, I worried about her as she dated one guy after the other, and I was afraid she would get sucked into a not great relationship. But finally, a good guy rose to the top and stole her heart. As we head to the first machine, Penelope leans in to whisper to me, "Who's the new hottie?" I don't even have to look around to realize she's probably talking about him. I grimace and scrunch up my nose. That's the new manager, Zane. He's handsome. Maybe someone you could date? Penelope says, waggling her eyebrows. Oh, absolutely not, I say. He may be handsome, but he's a little... I want to say that he's a jerk, but that would be unprofessional. I consider Penelope a friend, but she's also a client. Intense, I finish. That's not always a bad thing, but I get it. You don't want to date your boss. I most certainly do not. I point to the first machine, a tricep dip machine. Okay, last week you did 3 sets of 10 at 25 pounds, so we're shooting for 30 pounds today. She sits down and adjusts the weights, but her gaze is still fixed on something across the room. When she returns her focus to me, there is a mischievous gleam in her eyes that I do not like. But how about someone who is not your boss? I don't know. Work is kind of my boyfriend right now. Penelope shakes her head. No way. You cannot be married to your work. You're young and amazing, and you deserve to have someone to share your life with. Sure, and I'm certain one day that man will come along, but right now, I'm good. Now get to lifting. Penelope pulls back her shoulders and lifts her chin in the air. I'll make a deal with you. I'll do the killer workout you've been wanting me to try if you let me set you up on some dates. What? There is an amazing workout I've been wanting to put Penelope through, but she's always brushed it off, claiming she could never do it. I'm serious, she says. Thanks to you, I'm following my passion and opening a matchmaking business, and I want you to be my first client. Matchmaking? I thought you were a secretary. I am, Penelope says, grimacing as she pushes down the weights. But it's not my passion. I just never had the courage to pursue it before. Besides, who would want to take advice from a woman who couldn't find her own soulmate? But now that I have, I want to help others find what I have, and I want to start with you. So what do you say? I want to say no. Blind dates never go well, but Penelope is staring at me with puppy dog eyes. She's come so far, And I don't want to dash her dreams by saying no. Besides, I really want her to do that workout. Okay, fine. I'll be your first client. I just hope I won't regret it.